Hello and welcome. I'm going to give a tour of the latest version of ArtThief. This is version 6.3 and it was released in January of 2022. If this is your first time participating in the Patron Show, this video is for you. If you've used ArtThief in the past, you should be right at home with the new version of the app, but there are some changes and I'll highlight them for you as well. You can go to the App Store. ArtThief is free. When you open it up, this is the first screen you'll see. You'll notice if you used that before, there used to be a button where you would download the art, but this version of ArtThief automatically updates itself with the artwork for this year's Patron Show. At the time of this recording, there were 111 artworks in the app. Over the next couple of weeks, there will be hundreds more. The app is divided into 4 sections: Overview, Rate Art, Augmented Reality, and Send List. The Overview lets you swipe to the left, and there's information about the app and some instructions and a link to more detailed instructions as well. The main purpose of the app is to help you build a list of artwork you like and have that list sorted from things you like the most, totally in love with, to the things you like less or maybe the least, but still like. When your name is selected during the Patron Show drawing, you get to keep your favorite piece of art that hasn't already been selected by someone who was called before you. Since the names are drawn randomly, it's important that you make a thoughtful list in the order of your preference. This is typically done in the Rate Art section of the app. So as you can see on the left, we list all the art that is currently available. Tapping on any of them gives you a more detailed view of this. I'm doing this all on an iPad. On a phone, it looks very similar, except you don't see kind of both views at the same time. You drill down into the detail view. The first thing you really want to do typically is go through the artworks. You can swipe from one to the next one and rate them from 0 to 5 stars. 0 meaning you're not interested in the artwork for whatever reason. 5 meaning you absolutely love it, would love to go home with that. And then the stars are groupings in between that. For me, 4 or 5 stars really means a lot. And then, different numbers below that. I'm just randomly assigning them at the moment, so we get some data to work with here. It's worth noting you can always change these ratings, so don't feel too nervous about it. It's not uncommon for people to go in, rate, and come back and re-rate. You'll notice as I scroll up the list, the art is now grouped in the list by rating. So we see here at the top, the artwork I've given 5 stars to is in this 5-star group, the 4-star in the 4-star group. After you've rated all the art, you probably want to go in and fine-tune the order, especially in the groupings that you give 4 or 5 stars to, because they're inherently top of your list. It's worth noting that last year, 67% of people got a piece of art that was in their top 10 of their list. So it's really important that you give the order of these at the top of your list a lot of thought. Some people go and order everything in their list, and that's great too, but focusing on the top 20 or 50 even, I think is really important. You really want to do that. Those past 50 maybe are less important, but it can be fun. One tool for setting the specific order in a group that I like to use is this compare button over here on the left. If you hit compare, I'm going to close my sidebar list when I do this. The app shows you two pieces of artwork, and what it's asking for you is to tap on the one you prefer of these two. Tell it your preference here. And if you do that, it then brings up another comparison. And you show which one you prefer there. This time I'm going to say the one on the left. So you go through this process, and when it's shown you enough comparisons, I'm going to try to do these quickly, it'll tell you that you're finished, that it has now sorted all the ones with 5 stars in exactly your preference list by working through those comparisons. And you'll see also the compare button has also changed to sorted on the left with a check mark indicating that, all right, all those 5s are sorted exactly based on your preference. You can always go back and recompare and go through this whole process again for that same group. So you're not tied into anything. It's really a tool to help you sort through this, and you can make different choices. In the past, some people have wanted more information besides just photos of the art themselves while doing comparison. So this version of ArtThief supports that. You click on the upper right and you choose Settings. And now you can decide what information to show when you're doing these comparisons. I'm going to show the artist's name and the size of the piece in inches. I hit done, and you'll see now at the bottom, we have, for each of these artworks, we have the artist's names and the dimensions of the art. And that just becomes part of our comparison information there when we have that available. I really like using that tool for doing comparisons, and you can do it for all the different sections of art you've rated. But this year we have a new tool to help with that, where you can use kind of alternatively if you want. It is a grid view. So if we look up here in the upper left-hand corner, there is a few different buttons. There's one button that lets you sort the list by default by rating. You can also sort it by ID number or artist if you want to see the artworks listed in different ways. But this button lets you choose between the list view and the grid view. The grid view is new this year. So the grid view shows you all the artwork in a grid. And if you tap and hold down on a piece of artwork, you can take it and drag it around and move it to the position you want. So this is a way that you can decide, you know, I like this one better than its neighbor. I want to move that there. If I'm scrolling down and see something that I particularly like, I can take it and drag it up, and slowly it will go up, 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 and move it into position. And you're sorting the same list we had in the list view. There's only kind of one list behind it, but it lets you do it kind of a manual way. In the upper right-hand corner, we have, there's a little loop icon. If you click that, you get a tool at the bottom, and this lets you change the size of the squares. You can have them really big, or the artworks, or small. You can close this anytime you want. I like this, lets me move things around more. You can also, if you choose, there's a menu that lets you limit to just showing the artwork of a given rating. Like maybe I want to fine tune all my 4 stars and decide, I like this cat, let's move it over here. I want to put this one in front of this one. Again, however you want to use it. We can go back to showing all and see those 4 stars are in the right order, etc. If you drag the cat, say we dragged it up here, now the app is going to be smart and see that you put it between some that have 5 stars. So if we look at just 5 stars, you'll see now the cat has 5 stars because you've moved it in your list. So it tries to be smart about that for you. Next, we are going to the augmented reality section of the app. So, previous version of the apps had augmented reality features, as well as this one, but this year we've really kind of brought that to the forefront. Because more and more devices support this technology. In fact, if you see this launch button, that tells you your device supports this. There may be some exceptions, and you'll see some information on there if your device doesn't. But this version of ArtThief requires iOS 15, and so most devices running 15 can do the augmented reality. If your device is older than that and can't support iOS 15, you can use the App Store will have the older version of ArtThief available to you, and you can use it for the patron show. That'll all work like it did last year, and be totally fine. Anyway, augmented reality. This is a neat feature in my mind. My wife and I use this a lot, especially when we've identified artworks that we're particularly interested in and starting to have discussions about where it might go in our house, or how well it might fit in a given position, given place. So I'm going to hit the launch button. ArtThief will ask to use your camera on your iPad or iPhone. It needs this to be able to do the augmented reality, so you need to say OK for this. Then, let me stand up here. It gives you some instructions. So you take your device, you move it around a little bit in the room, and the camera starts to understand the room, the planes of the walls and such. Then, at the bottom, you see I can scroll through the various different artworks. I can choose one by just tapping on it. Then if you tap somewhere on a wall, you see I have this empty spot on the wall, so that seems like it's going to get a piece of artwork at some point in the future. So I'm going to tap on the wall, and the art gets placed there. You can slide it around. That piece obviously looks a little big for that space. Let me try something different. So I'm going to try a different piece of artwork. Select this still life of these peaches. I click on that. I can slide it around, say, well, what if I put it down? Yeah, but it too is maybe not the right size. I don't know. I'm going to choose a different one. Better. Position that. Maybe not perfect. But anyway, you get the idea. You can choose a different wall for that same artwork. Compose it however you want to do that. Again, I've found this really useful in previous years to be able to help visualize something. It sizes it to the correct dimensions on your wall. It does a reasonable job with the colors. It's not nearly as good as seeing the stuff in person and actually having it on the wall, but it's a pretty good approximation and give you a sense of what that's going to be like. Yeah, so that's a big piece. I didn't realize that. I have a little overlap with that chair, but you get the idea. Bruce. In any event. So I would really recommend folks use this feature. I think there's a lot of value to it. You can also access the augmented reality directly through the radar if you are in list view. Looking at any given piece of art, you'll notice in the upper right-hand corner, there's a little kind of picture icon. If you choose that, it brings up the camera, and then you can place that particular artwork there. It's kind of a shortcut, if you will. Finally, the last tab is the Send Your List tab. Now, it's your final step in this process, and really a critical one at that. The Art League will provide all ticket holders with a code name, and I don't think they've been sent out at the time of this recording, but they will be a couple of weeks before the event. You type in your code name. I'm going to put in something, whatever it may be. Oh, not now. Thank you, iPad. And then you press this Send 16 Artworks button. Why 16? It's because I have given a star rating to 16 artworks. This is an important thing to know, that the list you send is only artworks that you've given 1 to 5 stars. If for whatever reason there's a piece of art that you have no interest in, that you don't want to have, don't give it a star at all, and it won't be sent as part of your list. If I hit this button, I'm going to get an error message because that's not my code name, but really hitting that button is all you need to do, and it sends a copy of your list to the Art League, and then that's what they'll use during the drawing to select what, basically what artwork you won. There are a few important things that I want to make sure you understand. First off, it's important that you get your list done and you send that list before the drawing starts. You have to go and hit this send list button to get the list to the Art League. That's the only way that this happens. The app doesn't automatically send it. You can update your list and resend it as many times as you want. The Art League will get rid of your previous one and use only the most recent list that you've sent. So it's also worth mentioning that while you should get your list to the Art League, the day before would be my preference, sometime before the actual drawing takes place, President's Day weekend, you can resend this list anytime, including while the drawing is happening. If for whatever reason you get called late and you're having some questions and want to rearrange your list at the last minute, you can do that and resend that list. But please understand that the drawing happens fast, and just because you think you got your update right before your name got selected, that might not have been the case. It is possible that the server didn't finish your update in time before your name got drawn. So have some tolerance there. Like, keep in mind that you can make updates during the event, but we could get what we would call a race condition, and so try to do this thoughtfully and understand if something happens kind of at the last minute. Finally, one little bit with regard to kind of during the event and if you're making any changes. If you go back to RateArt, let me get rid of that, and say you're during the patron show, the drawing itself, you're watching I think we're going to have a live feed this year again. And when you're if you are making changes kind of last minute, one thing you can do is if you pull down on this list, see the little spinner at the top, pulling down will make the app reach out to the internet, to the cloud, and update the app with any changes that have been made. So if any artwork has been selected from your list, they will automatically be removed when you do a refresh like that. You can also, in the grid view, do a similar thing. Pulling down doesn't work. You have to go up in this right-hand corner and hit this refresh button. It updates pretty quick. As you can see, I'm going to hit it a few times. And items that have taken will be removed. So again, this is a feature you would use kind of during the event if you're making some last minute changes. My recommendation would be work on your list well before and don't rely on those kind of last minute changes. I don't want anyone to be disappointed because they thought they sent their list, but something happened, etc. But it is available to you. It is an option. Finally, if you have any other questions or suggestions for the app, please feel free to email me at support@zurka.com, and I'd be happy to answer your questions, or we also appreciate suggestions. And I hope you have a great show this year. Thank you.